Coming up on Cronkite News, Arizona may be heading for an automatic recount in a few races. What that recount will look like and how it will impact the end of this election season.
Plus, a group of Valley students is teaming up with police to create a unique database. And later, the Suns have suffered from several injuries lately. How one bench player is stepping up.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Alexia Stambridge.
And I'm Haley Ziomek. Thank you for joining us. It's been a little more than a week since the elections, and several races in Arizona may be headed to a recount.
This includes the races for Attorney General and Superintendent of Public Instruction. Cronkite News reporter Carolina Hassett shares how the recount process will work.
According to state law, a recount must be performed if a candidate wins by a margin of less than 0.5%. This law was enacted back in September, and that's why we may see more recounts this year compared to years past.
Counting ballots up until Christmas. This is what counties may be doing when it comes to automatic recounts happening in the state.
It's a pretty transparent process. The one thing, we're not going to see with a recount, right? And there's no reason for it, so it makes sense. You're not going to see results from the counties before they go to the court.
The Superior Court will lead the recount effort, and counties will then use their equipment to tabulate the votes, including a hand count audit with a small sample of the ballots counted.
They take a sample or 2% sample of the ballots that are cast and do an audit to ensure that the machines are counting accurately to what the hand count shows.
During the recount, counties are not allowed to announce any results until the Superior Court declares the winner. The recount is set to begin sometime after December 5th and is expected to end around the third week of December.
In the Arizona Superintendent of Public Instruction race, Democrat Kathy Hoffman conceded the race today to Republican Tom Horn. But according to the Secretary of State's office, even if a candidate concedes, the recount is required if the race is within the 0.5% margin. In the newsroom, Carolina Hassett, Cronkite News.
One race that is unlikely to go to a recount is for governor. The Associated Press has already called the race for Democrat Katie Hobbs. Hobbs holds more than a 16,000 vote lead over Republican Kari Lake, which is above the recount threshold.
But Lake posted a video this morning on social media saying she's still in the race. She says she's putting together a team of lawyers to collect evidence on voters who had trouble casting ballots on Election Day.
For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona, and this past week has confirmed everything we've been saying. Our election officials failed us miserably.
Lake also claimed that tens of thousands of county voters were unable to vote because of long wait times and printer errors. But Maricopa County officials have said that all ballots were counted and voters were able to go to any polling place with minimal wait times.
From local politics to national issues, lawmakers in Washington are split over a new marriage bill. Yesterday, the Senate voted to advance a bill that would protect same-sex marriage. The bill passed with all 50 Democrats and less than a quarter of Republican senators voting for it. The Respect for Marriage Act would require all states to recognize same-sex marriages and allow consideration of benefits like Medicare and Social Security for these couples.
Passing the Respect for Marriage Act is no longer a matter of if, but only of when. Later this afternoon, the Senate will take the next step in the process by formally adopting the motion to proceed. After that, both sides will have to work together to reach an agreement for voting on final passage as soon as we can.
A final vote from the Senate could come as early as this week, but the bill would then need to pass through the House and the president's desk before becoming law.
It's a troubling time for the tech industry. Workers watch and wait as layoffs begin at Facebook's parent company, Meta, Amazon, and Twitter. Twitter has already slashed half its staff, and now new owner Elon Musk has given workers until 5 p.m. this evening to commit to, quote, extremely hardcore work or leave. In 3 weeks, the tech industry lost tens of thousands of jobs. A crowdsourced layoff tracking site put it at more than 35,000 layoffs so far this month. That's the month with the most layoffs since the pandemic. In a post-pandemic, high inflation, world consumer behaviors, and spending habits are changing, with a threat of recession in the horizon.
The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors approved $12 million to provide new apprenticeship opportunities. The program will find apprenticeships for 3,000 people by 2026. In a partnership with the board, the Maricopa County Human Services Department has already helped over 300 skilled workers successfully find apprenticeships this year, and it has a 95% success rate. The program directs participants to career pathways that support major industries like healthcare, IT, manufacturing, and construction.
Your Air Jordans could help police solve crimes. Yuri Han tells us about a unique partnership between college students and law enforcement to help crack cases using shoes.
Dr. Kyle Mueller, a forensic scientist, spends a lot of time in the Phoenix Police Crime Lab. He analyzes evidence like footwear and debris.
Look for randomly acquired characteristics that, and those are cuts and scratches, anything added or removed from the bottom of the shoe that make that shoe unique to that person.
This analysis, he says, can take hours, days, or even weeks trying to find the exact shoes. That's why he's now partnering with Grand Canyon University students to help him solve real-life cases.
I was spending countless hours looking on the internet trying to find these impressions, and I thought it would be much nicer to have a searchable database to go to.
Since Mueller doesn't have the resources to get all of the shoe information he needs, he reached out to GCU for help.
I just think it would be easier for them if they're able to just go onto like a database and put in like keywords and then a shoe that will have that certain description that they're looking for pull up, and it'll just be more effective in the sense of like time.
It definitely gave me a lot of insight into like just what forensic research is and kind of what's necessary, what we're looking for.
Mueller says the GCU students have made great progress and even taken the research to another level.
My idea was just to have them go out with a camera and just go take pictures of shoes, but they've created an SOP, so a standard operating procedure.
The group meets on a regular basis and has said many of the shoes they investigate are from popular brands. In Phoenix, Yuri Han, Cronkite News.
One of the challenges the group faces is getting access to new shoes. Stores are often hesitant to allow them to take photos and measurements.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, the winter season is upon us, where you can hit the slopes for cheap right now.
One Arizona native that doesn't like the cold, cacti, how experts say you should care for them during the winter months.
Let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavour to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'm a kick down every single door. I'm a show you never ever seen before. So control you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Winter is here in the high country.
And Arizona Snowball is welcoming people back to the slopes today. The skiers are opened earlier than expected this season after 18 inches of snow fell in Flagstaff. That's in addition to snowmakers all over the mountain. Lift tickets will be available for as low as $29 online. And kids under 12 can ski for free all season with the Power Kids Season Pass. The mountain will be open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. But right now, only intermediate and advanced trains are open. Arizona Snowball's winter season will last until April. We may not see any snow here in the valley, but we have seen some chilly temperatures every morning this week. Jack Woo's in the Cronkite News Weather Center. How's the weekend forecast looking, Jack?
Well, Alexia, while we might not have snow on the ground like they do in the high country, we are seeing lower temperatures here in the valley. As you can see on our way home, it's going to be 65 degrees, heading all the way into the mid 50s to end off your night. Now, talking about those low temperatures, in Flagstaff, it's going to be 20-degree low tomorrow. Perfect weather to keep that snow on the slopes for those heading out to opening weekend of Snowball. Go a little lower than that. We have Sedona and Payson sitting in the low 30s for their lows, and heading back to the valley, we have a low of 46 degrees here in Phoenix. Now, for our high temperatures, we have a high of 71 degrees in Phoenix tomorrow. That is 6 degrees lower than our average for this time of year. And we're seeing similar highs in Gila Bend and Casa Grande. Then going back up to Flagstaff, we have a high of 46 there tomorrow. And in the Sedona Prescott area, we have highs in the mid 50s. For your 8-day forecast, a lot of that weather earlier this week is going to translate to this weekend, except it's going to be a lot less windy. It's only going to be 5 to 10 mile an hour winds going through the weekend. And as you can see, we have our 71 to 72 degree highs going through the weekend and our lows sitting in the high 40s. Now that weekend weather is going to translate to the beginning of next week as well. As you can see, we do have highs in the low 70s and the high 60s and our lows in the high 40s and even the low 50s. From the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Jack Wu.
As cooler temperatures move into Arizona, gardeners want to share how you can best protect your cacti during the winter season.
Olivia Dole spoke with the experts at Tucson Botanical Garden and found out how they protect their plants.
Arizona is known for its Sonoran desert landscape, on full display at the Tucson Botanical Gardens.
We have plants from all over the world, from all different types of plants, from big leafy plants, as well as our spiny friends.
These desert succulents are tough, but also need some protection from the cold. Winter is a time for frost and cold weather. To take care of cacti, there are simple techniques.
There's a couple you have to look out for, mainly succulents, aloes, and cylindrical cactus.
Andrew Kibler uses these materials to protect the cacti at Tohono Chul Park in Tucson. He's the gardener on site.
With the succulents and aloes, you can wrap them with any sort of sheets. They call it frost cloth. And then for cylindrical cactus, you can use anything from nursery pots to styrofoam cups.
Simple tips for frost, but that coupled with cold rain can be a bit tricky.
One of our wet seasons can be the winter time. And so cacti that are sensitive to cold, if they get a rain and then a hard frost, that's like a double whammy.
Caring for these desert plants is important to the Tucson Botanical Gardeners. Looking ahead to winter, there is one thing these cacti don't need.
The most important thing is most cacti are dormant or semi-dormant during the winter season, so they're not growing a lot, and so they probably need even less water.
Come spring, a flower to show beauty after the winter season. In Tucson, Olivia Doles, Cronkite News.
Experts suggest to cover or bring your cacti inside when temperatures reach the low 20s.
That'll make sure your plants are safe for the winter.
I'm Kevin Redfern. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. Young baseball players dream of making it to the big leagues, but one prospect decided to take another route.
Right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village. The landscape of criminal investigation. Murder.
Almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is
Mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'ma kick down every single door. I'ma show you what you never ever seen before. So control you, I'ma show you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Kevin Redfern. An update on Mercury player Brittany Griner's whereabouts. Griner's lawyers in Russia say she has been moved to a penal colony in Mordovia, hundreds of miles outside of Moscow. She was moved from Moscow on November 4th after being sentenced to 9 years in prison on drug charges. Paul Whelan, another American wrongfully detained in Russia, is currently serving a 16-year sentence in the same region. The U.S. State Department has asked for a prisoner swap for both Whelan and Griner. The department says it strongly protests Russia's lack of transparency in handling the Griner case. Last night, the Phoenix Suns defeated the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors 130-119 at the Footprint Center. The Suns extended the Warriors' road woes as they fell to 0-8 away from home to start the season. Cronkite News reporter Edison LaCour has more on last night's matchup from our sports bureau.
Thanks, Kevin. The Phoenix Suns were firing on all cylinders last night in their win over the Warriors. They overcame a 50-point effort from Warriors guard Stephen Curry and did so without their starting point guard, Chris Paul. The point god, as he is affectionately known, has missed the Suns' last 5 games with a heel injury. Paul participated in the shoot-around yesterday, but was ultimately unable to go. It was another chance for Suns guard Cam Payne to enter the starting lineup in his place, as Payne also filled in for Paul in the Suns' last 4 games. The dynamic guard is known to bring the energy, but his teammates like Devin Booker know that's not all Payne brings to the table.
Just being aggressive. That's what we're telling them to do, push the pace. We need them scoring, making sure everybody's involved at the same time. I know it's not the easiest job, but he's been doing a really good job with it. And just continue to grow, continue to execute, and lead the team.
In last night's win, Payne executed to the tune of a career-high 29 points on 6 of 10 shooting from behind the arc. He also added in 7 dimes. It's this kind of production from Payne that the Suns will need should Chris Paul miss an extended period of time. In the Sports Bureau, Edison LaCour, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Coyotes briefly stopped home in the middle of a brutal 14-game road trip, and when they leave again, they may be adding a new piece. Defenseman Jacob Chychrun practiced with the team for the first time since suffering a season-ending ankle injury on March 12th. Chychrun, who has publicly expressed a desire to be traded to a contender, has struggled to recover from an off-season wrist surgery. Despite losing back-to-back games, the team doesn't want to rush Chychrun back.
Chick is a really good player. He has physical attribute, he has skill, but at the same time, we want him to ease his way in the game. I just talked to him and said, we'll go one period at a time. We don't want a fixed objective for a game. We want to use him a ton. At the moment, he will be ready to play a ton.
The Coyotes are taking on the Golden Knights in Vegas tonight. Puck drops at 8 p.m. Last summer, ASU baseball player Isaiah Jackson was invited to participate in the MLB Draft Combine in San Diego. Since then, Jackson has made some big decisions about his baseball career. Cronkite News reporter Victoria Samuels followed his story from the Combine to Phoenix Municipal Stadium.
Like many boys, Isaiah Jackson started playing baseball at a young age. His dream? To ultimately make it to the pros. That desire became a reality when he was drafted by the Houston Astros in the 18th round in the 2022 MLB Draft.
Everyone's dream, if you're playing baseball growing up, is you want to get drafted. And then once that happened and I got all the attention and stuff like that, I was like, holy cow, this actually really just happened. And then that's when my mom was like, step back and look at your options and see what you really want to do and what's really best for you.
Isaiah decided to put his professional career on hold. His decision came after his older brother Andre was in a similar position a few years ago. Andre Jackson was selected by the Texas Rangers in the 32nd round of the 2014 MLB Draft, but Andre decided to play college ball at the University of Utah.
Hearing what his older brother has gone through in the minor leagues certainly is a reality check that, you know what, college is probably the better option.
After being drafted by the Houston Astros this summer, Isaiah decided to go a different route. He's now at Arizona State playing baseball. Not only has he improved his game, he's become a better student, and he's also adjusting extremely well to college life.
When you get drafted, you don't go straight to the big leagues. You got to grind it out in the minors, which is not a lot of fun. I'm a firm believer in going to college out of high school.
ASU prides itself on recruiting local talent. Much like Isaiah, infielder Ethan Long was drafted in 2020 by the San Francisco Giants, but decided to go to ASU instead.
Pretty much every kid that grows up here wants to go to ASU, and it kind of speaks volume that there's a lot of homegrown talent, of course, and ASU is kind of a baseball powerhouse as well.
Baseball season doesn't start until February, but the Sun Devils are already focused on a successful season. In Tempe, Victoria Samuels, Cronkite News.
Although Isaiah is only a freshman, he still hopes to make it in the big leagues after his college career. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Alexia.
Still ahead on Cronkite News, a meteor shower is swinging by Earth. When you can expect to see it light up the sky next.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just going to love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery. Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village. The landscape of criminal investigation. Murder.
Almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure.
And the rest, as they say, is
Mystery.
I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
I'ma kick down every single door. I'ma show you what you never ever seen before. So control you, I'ma show you.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Something exciting may be spotted in the sky tonight.
The Leonid meteor shower is expected to peak tonight and early tomorrow morning. The meteors are about the size of tiny peas and sand-sized bits of dust. The debris is crumbling off a comet as it swings by Earth. This is the fastest meteor shower striking Earth's atmosphere at 158,000 miles per hour. Astronomers say it could even last into Saturday morning. The meteors can be seen anywhere on the planet except Antarctica. That's it for Cronkite News tonight.
Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.